And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
When I first saw the game, Zombies vs. Cheerleaders, I immediately dismissed it. I didn't care anymore. I didn't even want to play it. Whatever, no big deal. The guys at Matagot said, hey, we know you're not a big fan of zombie games, but check this out. And I thought, yeah, it's a Matagot game, and their games are pretty good. I'm really enjoying what they put out. Some of my favorite games have come from these guys. But Zombies vs. Cheerleaders, fine, I'll try it out. So we played it, and I was like, well, this game is completely random. That's because in your first game, it does feel kind of random because you're putting everything out randomly. So we're like, when the game was over, we're like, so there's the strategy. We played it. What did we think then? Here's the whole game set up, but this is the large game. You can play a medium-sized game where you're only going to use 5 of the columns, and then you can play a short game where you only use 4 columns. This is all the cards in play. So if you're playing with everything, you'll have 6 cheerleaders against all the zombies. If you play the short game, you'll have 4 cheerleaders against 24 of the zombies. These cards over here are for discard piles and also kind of just to keep markers. There's one row here that's not free that's free at the beginning. There are barricades. These are randomly put 2 cards down. The cheerleaders, person can put their cheerleaders behind the barricades. The zombie player will pick exactly where all the zombies go. And then the zombie player is going to go first, and on the zombie's turn, he has 3 actions, and then the cheerleader player has 3 actions, and they're going to go back and forth. Now the zombie player has different actions. For one action, they can move an entire column. They can do that multiple times. For another action, they could also move an entire row. So you can see you can mix moving columns and rows. If you want to, at any point, you're allowed to reveal one of your zombies. But usually you won't do that unless you need to reveal them. You might reveal them because you're going to attack. This zombie here is a football player who actually has a special ability where he can basically run all the way up if he wants to. But when this football player attacks this barricade, and by the way, a zombie, this is an important rule, a zombie cannot move and attack on the same turn. When a zombie attacks a barricade, they do the amount of damage that it shows here to that barricade. Each barricade will take 1 damage, and then the second damage, then that card goes to the zombie player. And the reason that is because some of the cards will allow zombies to do special abilities. And there's a whole pile of special abilities, and each one is mentioned here in the book. For example, that one lets you do a sniper, a ranged strength 2 attack on a barricade with a baseball player. That's right, there's all sorts of zombies that are out here. I mentioned this guy has the ability to rush. A baseball player can reveal himself and launch a 1 ranged attack at a barricade or somebody else. These guys can climb over the barricades. Everyone else gets stopped by them. Now, there's a lot of football players in this section and baseball players. Apparently, this is the sports. This guy is crazy dangerous because when he gets killed and by the cheerleader, he's given to the cheerleader. The cheerleader can spend this card to get 2 extra actions on their turn. Some of the zombies are bosses. Each boss has 2 attack and 2 hit points that it takes to kill them, but when they're killed, they'll give the cheerleader a special ability, just like the barricades give the zombies a special ability. Teachers, when they show up, they put this 2 on them. When they get hit for any reason that kills them, it goes down to a 1. But they still keep coming and attacking because teachers, they care. So there's all sorts of different zombies. I guess the main other zombie I haven't shown you is the lunch lady zombie. She does 3 attack, but as soon as she attacks, she dies. So that's what zombies are doing. On the cheerleader's turn, they have 3 actions, just like the zombie player does. One of those actions can be to switch 2 cheerleaders. So I might say, all right, this cheerleader is running over behind this barricade. This cheerleader is moving over behind this barricade. You'll notice they each have tokens on them. Those tokens represent both their life points and the attacks that they can do. So this cheerleader here has 7 tokens, but has no attacks. Most of the other cheerleaders have some sort of attack. They spend a token to do attack, and they can hit anybody in the column that's in front of them and do the amount of damage it shows on their card. Although this girl here automatically kills any zombie she hits. This girl here, when she basically throws a grenade, hits a zombie, and then that zombie does the damage of that zombie to everything that's adjacent to it. This girl here has only 1 energy. However, she can spend an action to keep regenerating that energy. This one here will hit the first zombie, and it just goes down a line. It does 3 damage to the first zombie, then you subtract that zombie's health, and it does that remaining damage to the next zombie, and keeps going till you run out of health to hit. And so there's a lot of different attacks and maneuvers, so we'll be moving them around. You can also move barricades around. You also have a special ability. This girl here can basically knock herself out to kill the zombie in front of her. And of course, you also have any special abilities that you've gotten from killing different zombies on the board. The game is going to go back and forth like this, with one person moving the zombies towards the cheerleaders. If they hit a cheerleader, their cheerleader is going to take damage from their chips equal to the strength of the zombie attack. So they got to take out the barricade, then come in, or the geeks can climb over the barricade. Once they hit the cheerleader is wounded, and if a zombie moves onto or attacks a wounded cheerleader, any single one, then the zombies win. The cheerleaders win by killing all the zombies. So this is a very entertaining asymmetrical game. Okay, you cannot play randomly. The zombie player must think very carefully where he's placing all his initial zombies. Where you put those, the baseball players, because they're going to be able to lob stuff in, but as soon as the cheerleaders figure out who's lobbing things in, boom, 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 they're dead. And you got to be careful how you place them, because if you have them set up so that one girl can throw that flashbang grenade and basically take out a pile of them at one time, that can really hurt you. You want your bosses to get up there and to do damage, and your lunch lady, you want her to lunge in and do the right amount of damage at the right point of time. While the game is asymmetrical, it feels pretty balanced, and there's some pretty good tactical decisions. The cheerleader is trying to maneuver things. She only has so many shots that she's going to be able to get off, and she needs to make sure that she doesn't waste ammunition, that she takes things out as much as possible and not let one cheerleader die. While the zombie player is like, whatever cheerleader I can get, but they're trying to preserve it and not let big groups of their zombies get killed, and at the same time make sure that they keep the zombies moving forward, because having front rows of that blown apart means you simply move forward. Since you can't move and attack, it's like, move, all right, hit us, move, hit us. That's no good. You'll just pile up and die. The game has just enough special abilities, and of course there is some luck in the barricades that are hit. Are going to give special abilities to the zombies, and the zombie bosses, when they're hit, will give special abilities to the cheerleader. You get those at the right time and the right place, and it can really help you out. One of the special abilities for the zombies is to bring on the prom queen zombie, and she'll show up, and she is invincible until all the zombie bosses are killed. I believe there's 6 of them. When all 6 of them are killed, then she's down to 1 hit point. She comes out early. That's pretty powerful. You just send her right up to the front if possible, or whatever you can, and keep those bosses out of danger. Although it's not really hard to kill a zombie boss in this game. The theme, though. Okay, I've never been a huge fan of the zombie theme, and it really has been done to death, although that's not as much these days as it's been. But I actually thought the theme here fits in a way. You know, the zombies are coming over the barricades. It's this whole zombie versus cheerleader thing. This is the kind of game that I played it in my game room here, right? If I was playing this publicly and someone came by and said, what were you playing? I would almost feel embarrassed to be playing this. This is zombies versus sexy cheerleaders. It just kind of gives it this skeevy feel to it. The artwork is fine, but it's just like, what are we doing here? This feels like a really bad C movie that's on at 2 o'clock on Cinemax is being played here, and I don't know. I mean, it could have been any group of people against zombies. Why did it have to be young, pretty cheerleaders? That theme just is kind of but despite that, there actually is a pretty cool little 2-player tactical game here, And I think it does a lot of stuff for replayability. I think I prefer the 5x5 grid the best. That means the cheerleader players pick one cheerleader that they're not using, and the zombie player has to pick a whole pile of zombies that they're not going to use. Although I think that should be random which ones they have the opportunity to use, because otherwise you're never going to use the drum corps. Why give the free actions to the cheerleader player? But still, some interesting gameplay here. Very surprising. And I had some other people play this too, and they also agreed that it's very strategic, and I think both sides are very winnable. That's zombies versus cheerleaders. Dice Tower Judgment, despite the theme, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!
There.